Dr. Lynette Pretorius, a lecturer in the Faculty of Education at Monash University. Today, I will be sharing my recent teaching practice of incorporating generative AI into my assessment task in a master's level research unit. This year, I was fortunate to be given the privilege of teaching a final semester unit in one of our faculty's master's programs called EDF 5760, or Action Research in Contemporary Educational Contexts. This specific unit was designed to teach students the benefits of subjective research through autoethnography or self-study. For those of you unfamiliar with autoethnography, it is a research method which allows researchers to purposely explore their own experiences in order to highlight cultural phenomena. It is a research method which values subjectivity and personal experience, but necessitates deep reflection, which can be hard for students who are more familiar with more traditional or scientific research approaches. In recent years, I have become somewhat of an expert in autoethnography, using it in many of my research projects, including 2 books. As such, I was very excited to teach this unit as it allowed me to share my passion for subjective research with students, open their worldviews to different forms of data, and help them consider whose knowledge is valued in society more broadly. The major assignment of this unit required the students to conduct a small-scale autoethnography or self-study of approximately 5,000 words. I had recently been reading some more creative autoethnographies which utilized poems, photos, and artwork, and was trying to explore ways in which I could be more creative in my own research. However, while I appreciated these creative forms of expression, I always considered myself as not artistic enough to be able to create what I considered beauty through art. At the same time, I had previously created an artwork as part of a book project using a generative AI tool, and this had greatly impressed me. I realized that generative AI could be a way for my students to create artwork to use in their assignments, particularly if they felt, like I did, that they were not really artistic enough. As part of my assignment instructions, I ran a workshop outlining what was expected. This was important because students had not previously had the chance to write an assignment that was even close to what they were expected to do now. This workshop included an example research outline which they could use as they developed their own methodology. I really wanted to encourage students to be more creative, so my research plan included an example. The example said, "For assignment 2, I plan to do an autoethnography. I will write reflective diaries, conduct a reflective interview with myself using Zoom, and create an artwork representing my experiences using DALL-E. I also wanted to show them how useful such a strategy could be, so I decided to create an example artwork myself for an imaginary project where I was exploring my own academic identity. As such, my research plan example stated, "In my study, I will collaborate with DALL-E to create an artwork representing my academic identity development experiences during my PhD. I will use the conversation with the AI and the generated images as data sources. I will also analyze the creative output by narratively examining the inner stirrings, thoughts, different views of reality, new knowledge, or surprising outcomes my artwork evokes." In the workshop, I showcased to the students the various iterations of the artwork created by DALL-E, exploring what I had typed as a prompt, why I had typed it in that way, how I used my feelings in response to a generated image to help me think about how I wanted it refined, and finally what the artwork was that I decided was representative of my academic identity as an educator and researcher, which you can see on the screen now. Students were very engaged in this discussion, asking questions and providing further insights into why they thought I may have made particular changes. At one point during my image generation discussion, DALL-E created a picture of me that would have been better suited to the cover of a modeling magazine, which elicited strong reactions from me. I explained to students why I did not like this photo, highlighting my emotional reactions as well as my personal need to challenge societal attitudes towards how women are embodied. I did this to showcase to them how I thought I would be able to discuss this if I had to decide to write an autoethnography using this method of data generation. When I recently marked students' final assignments, I was glad to see that some students had taken up the challenge to include more creative expressions in their assignments, including photos and poems. This is important since it is often challenging to get students to use more creative forms of expression, especially when they have to do it in an unfamiliar context and when it is worth such a large amount of marks. While none had included artwork specifically generated by generative AI in their final assignment, several noted that they had used the conversations with generative AI to improve their understandings and reflections. They saw the generative AI as an interlocutor in their experiences, helping them to refine their own understandings. This included their understandings of complex concepts, but also their own stories. The generative AI tools were able to help them reflect more deeply on these stories, seeing aspects of their experiences that they had not previously considered. The discussions I had with students also highlighted that they were interested in further exploring the use of generative AI. I take this as a particularly important outcome of my efforts. By creating a safe space where the students were allowed to explore and experiment with unfamiliar forms of expression, I created a space of empowerment where they could develop their AI literacy. I firmly believe that encouraging students to effectively use these technologies in my classes in the future will allow them to focus more on their higher order thinking skills, emphasizing deeper learning and engagement. Thank you.